What is spirituality, Guruji? How would you define spirituality?
Not like others define it. Spirituality in Siddha Yoga is very specific that, we are also made up of a lot of invisible parts that we don't understand. When a baby is born, uh, the truth is that we are a nuclear reactor ourselves, okay? So when a baby takes its first breath, that's when it starts a radiation from its body, and these are called gamma rays. They're very, the Incredible Hulk. He got bathed in gamma rays. Babies release that as soon as they're born, as soon as they take their first breath. There's a lot of invisible electromagnetic frequencies that we keep radiating from our body, and these are non-material. This is the energetic part of a human body. A dead body doesn't radiate that, but a living body does radiate that. There's also magnetism coming out of our heart. So the yogis studied all these invisible parts from whatever senses they had at that time. They realized they can sharpen their senses with certain practices. And when you're able to perceive what is ordinarily invisible, then your journey in spirituality begins. That's according to yoga. Okay, there are a lot of traditions that are happy to continue their spirituality, whether they can feel something or not. But in yoga, for us, we need to develop the sensitivity of the invisible world. Okay. So now, how will someone do that? You start with your own hands. Bring your hands close together and ask yourself, can I feel this other hand? Can I feel my other hand? If I move my left hand, is my right hand able to feel the movement? If I move my right hand, is my left hand able to feel the movement? And surprisingly, you can. And that's where you start to understand the spirit. And that is what we focus on in yoga. We developed this, we understood it. There's a spiritual anatomy which is unrelated to the physical anatomy, where we believe that it gives rise to consciousness. And there are 10 levels of consciousness. So science is still thinking of consciousness as an effect of life, but consciousness is present in everything, even in a mineral, and even in molecules, atoms. There is consciousness. But when it comes together in this unique human form, we have human consciousness. And our concern, because it's invisible, a lot of people don't tend to their consciousness, So there's a lot of things floating around in their consciousness. There's a lot of thoughts floating around that are making them feel miserable. There's a lot of thoughts and there's a lot of feelings floating around, which are invisible things. Yesterday, somebody wrote to me and she said that I'm feeling, on the outside, if you look at me, you'll think that nothing's wrong with my life. I'm doing very well in everything. She's staying abroad. But she's saying that, inside, if anyone could see my inside, they wouldn't be my friend at all. They'd be afraid to be with me because that's the kind of miserable thoughts that I have. So tending to your invisible parts is spirituality. And only when you tend to your invisible parts, you can have a happy life. Otherwise, you can't.
Thank you, Guruji. I'll just ask you the next question that I have. Is spirituality and religion the same?
Well, first of all, we need to understand that when we say the word religion, we really expect a set of rules to follow. Okay, but you can't put Sanatan dharma under that because Sanatan dharma is made out of so many philosophies coming together. We have space even for atheistic, Gnostic darshan as well. So they say largely that it's made up of 6 darshans, 6 philosophies, and yoga is one of those philosophies that make up Sanatan dharma. So I don't know where it depends on people's definition, whether spirituality and religion are same. If you ask me, is Sanatan dharma concerned with spirituality? Yes, very much. But every part of every religion, there are parts where they concern themselves with spirituality, but it also goes about talking about social laws, how you should behave. Like the Muslims have got Sharia law, and there is a lot of directive even in Sanatan about how we should. The Taittiriya Upanishad is actually the rule book for Sanatanis. So when you talk about religion, it includes spirituality, but it also includes many other things like how you should be as a society, how we should behave, morality, all sorts of things are included in that. So when you're talking about spirituality, it seems to be a subset of religion and not really the same.
Guruji, can we be spiritual? Can we be spiritual without following a religion?
Yes, of course. If you take only the spiritual part of the religion, then you can be spiritual. It's not that hard. I mean, if you are concerned about the invisible parts of the human body, then you are already spiritual.
Okay, Guruji. Guruji, we learn various things and subjects in schools, right? We learn a lot
Yeah.
about a lot of things. What I want to ask you is, does our education interfere with spirituality somehow? Or does it matter? Or is it interrelated?
It does. It does. Because in school they teach you that you're just this body, and you don't have any invisible parts to you. Most of the teachers, I would say it depends on the teachers, because I had some teachers who would insist that we build our character, which is an invisible part of the body. So there are some teachers who can point you towards spiritual stuff, but the syllabus itself is designed not to talk about spiritual stuff. In general, it's not that important. So the promise of education is that they will teach you how to earn a living later. After investing many years in us, teach you how to make a living. They don't keep that promise. People go through education, they still don't know how to earn a living. Okay. And then spirituality, I don't have any expectations from religion because it's not even making the promise. So that's cool. It's all right.
Guruji, I know it sounds quite silly and it is. Do you believe in God?
No, I don't believe in God
Okay.
at all. I don't have to because I know God. God is one of those invisible forces in the world. And it's very easy for you to recognize the presence of God or communicate with God, okay? So I was telling people that, start communicating with animals and plants, and you'll realize that you can communicate with them. From there, it's not such a far leap to communicate with God. It's not that hard. If you can talk to a plant or a tree, you can understand and it responds to you. You can even talk to God. I'm always talking to Devi all the time, right? So it's a conversation that's always going on in my head, and I'm getting real profound replies when I make this conversation. And this is anybody's birthright. So you don't have to believe in God. I think people who believe in God are idiots. Why should you believe in something you can't feel or see, or touch or taste or smell? You know, it has to be a sensory experience, and then you believe in it. Why do you believe in things that don't give you a sensory experience? If you haven't had a sensation of God, there's no point in believing in God. What's the use? So I don't believe in God.
Okay, Guruji. Guruji, what I was about to ask you next was, is it necessary to believe in God to learn yoga? But you already explained it. So, um,
Well,
or
one of the yamas of yoga, um, niyamas of yoga, is called Ishvara Pranidhana. So niyama would mean something you do about your environment. How you relate to your environment is called niyama, and yama is how you relate to your own behavior, and how you let what you allow in the environment is niyama, what you allow in yourself is yama, or rather, like what you don't allow. I hope you can hear me. I don't know if somebody decided to accelerate his bike. for no reason. What's going on? Oh, they're cutting grass. Can you hear me?
Somehow,
You can somehow? Okay, great. I'm going to get closer to the mic. So, niyama, niyama is what you allow in your environment. Okay, so what you should establish in your environment. You can think about it like that. One of it is called Ishvara Pranidhana, which means um, which means kind of collaboration with God. Yeah. So you have to have a collaboration with God to even progress to the next step of yoga, which is called asana. Before you do even a single step of asana, you should have established collaboration with God. But do you see everybody doing asanas? They have a clue about God? Not really. So is that yoga? Not really. It's not yoga. So if yoga doesn't involve God, if you're asking from an atheistic perspective, can an atheist do yoga? Impossible. You're not doing yoga. You're probably doing yoga asana without really having the foundation of it, which is yama and niyama. You're just doing yogasana. So yeah, well, okay, that's not yoga.
Guruji, a lot of people have this doubt or sawal, and I got a DM also last night.
Hmm.
And are you a siddha guru or are you a spiritual guru? Is what the question is.
Hmm. What's the difference? So, as you continue to study spirituality, it's not without result. Okay? When you start attaching a result to your study of spirituality, you become a siddha. Many people just go on studying stuff without attaching any result to it. They don't care. They continue to do their so called sadhana without knowing what's supposed to be the siddhi, the phala of that sadhana, the result. So in Siddha Yoga, we are very much concerned with the result. Don't simply do a sadhana. What is the thing that you want out of it? Are you going towards it? Have you gone away from it? Having a result in mind helps you to pivot. If you don't know where you're going, then you won't go anywhere. So let's talk about the first three results that people have to achieve with Siddha Yoga. It's health intelligence. Jaan hai to jahan hai. So if you don't have your physical body, then what the hell are you going to enjoy life? So you have to have health intelligence and make sure that you're healthy and robust, healthy like a horse, not dying of addictions, not dying of bad circadian rhythm, not having like leptin resistance and then having a low appetite or a high appetite, getting fat and getting thin. You know, so you have to ensure that you're not exposing yourself to the kind of frequencies that cause cancer in you, or exposing yourself to the kind of foods that cause cancer in you, right? There's cancerous food and there's non-cancerous food. You should know the difference, which is what. So that's a lot of knowledge for you to know. Also, emotions that don't create robust health in you. What are healthy emotions and what are unhealthy emotions? You need to know about this too. So that's the first step. First step of siddhi. The second step of siddhi is time intelligence. What are you doing with your time? Are you wasting it? Are you just, what's your relationship with the future? Are you really going towards a goal? Do you know all the stops on the way? Are you checking whether you're on the track? Or you're just wasting time? So that's time intelligence. And people who don't have time intelligence often become poor. They don't have money. And they keep complaining that they don't have money, but they do nothing about it. So time intelligence, and after that, you need communication intelligence. You need to know the laws of communication. You need to know the frameworks in which we are engaged with each other. If you don't have clarity about this, then all your communication will be a flop. You try to say something, something else will get conveyed, and there's going to be a lot of misunderstandings in your life, and you call them relationship issues. But they're not relationship issues, they're communication issues. Okay? So these are the three things. Your money issues are time management issues, and your relationship issues are your communication issues, and your health issues are a lack of intelligence about what's good for you and what's bad for you. So when you have these three things, then I can teach you other siddhis. There are more siddhis then, right? Every chakra has a siddhi. There are a total of 10 chakras in the body, and they move through the three gunas. So there are chakras there where the chakra has two sides, internal and external. So when you're internally tamasic, there are three states possible. Internally tamasic, externally tamasic. Internally tamasic, externally rajasic. Internally tamasic, externally sattvic. So what are these things? Tamasic is inaction. And that is also a state of consciousness. And to have inaction inside and have inaction outside. Apathy inside and, laziness inside and apathy outside, That is tamasic and tamasic. So that's a state of consciousness. There's a goddess associated with that. That goddess is Kali. So you have to understand who she is. And that's the state of consciousness, and you have to get siddhi of Kali. You have to relate to God. See, if you can't talk to God, there's no yoga. Okay? So start understanding who's this. Then there's also the relationship. Like that, there are 10 Devis, and they're called the Dasha Mahavidya. And then there are also the 10 directions. North, south, east, west, and then the ones in between, and then the zenith and the nadir. So there are a total of 10 directions, and each of them is one deity. There's a yoga associated with each direction, and then there's the yoga of health as well. There's certain what we call nadi shuddhi, to create a proper channel of electrical energy inside yourself. So that's called pranayama, where you create this. And then there is manifestation itself. Like, how can I have the reality of my choice? How can I get so much control over space-time elements that I can start to enjoy the reality of my choice? Then there's the yoga of self-defense, like the dark arts of self-defense, not the stuff they do in Assam, Mayong, not the black magic stuff, but it's the white magic. It's connecting to deities like Mahalakshmi and removing all kinds of bad karmas from your life. And then there's the yoga of ancestors, where you're able to give liberation to your ancestors. You're also able to understand that space and time, where we have the worlds, the various worlds. There are like 14 worlds that we can experience. So traveling in that is the yoga of astral travel. We call it the yoga of death yoga, where you can travel to different spheres of being. There's so much to learn. There's no end to learning. My guru is 2,700 years old, and he says, I barely scratched the surface of yoga. He says, I'm 47 years old. What have I done? If you look at the universe of yoga, what I know is nothing. But if I look at the universe in which we're asked to live, well, then what I know is already a universe compared to that. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Even in like 13, 14 years of learning yoga, sincerely from my guru, the progress that I've made is so much more than somebody else who spent 14 years not learning yoga. Everything in my life is not opposing me. I'm really enjoying here my life as a privileged guest. So that's called Siddha Yoga, okay? Where you live your life when you understand something called Karuna. Karuna is the creator's debt to us. Devi created us, but she is going to take care of us too. I mean, that's her obligation. A mother creates something, she takes care of it. Have you seen a cat mother, what it does? It knows some kittens won't make it, it'll eat them. And then it takes care of the other kittens. And I think Devi is like that. If she knows that some kittens are overcome with ego, like human kittens are overcome with ego, she eats them as Kali. And Devi is also depicted when you do the yoga of the directions. Nirutti is the only Devi out of all the Dikpalakas. 9 of the Dikpalakas are male. Only 1 female Dikpalaka. Okay, and they all got Vahans, right? Agni's got a ram, Varuna's got crocodile, and Indra's got his Airavat, and Yama has his buffalo, and Kubera has his mongoose. But guess what Devi is riding? Nirutti Devi is riding a human being. with a sword to his neck. So she's the main source of pain in our life. So there are two kinds of pain. The pain caused by your ego is useless and it's best to let it go. But the pain caused by life is like a cocoon for, uh, what do you call it, pupa. And then what does it do? It pushes and pushes and pushes and then comes out and its wings come out and it's this little butterfly that comes out and then it moves its wings a bit and then it strengthens its wings and that struggle has made it strong. So there's things that make us transform. There are pains that make us transform and there are pains that destroy us. We should let go of the pains that destroy us because they're all self-created. You don't have to let go of the pain that life gives you. The ability to go through that like a warrior is the yoga of self-defense, the yoga of war. You have to have that attitude. That's called virya. Okay? So it's the development of virya in a person that makes them that strong, and virya also makes you attractive. The more courage you have, the more you attract abundance, the more you attract fortune. Fortune favors the brave. And people also favor the brave. Everyone wants to associate with the people who are brave. So it makes you an attractive person if you're a brave person. It doesn't matter how you look. It's that bravery inside you, the virya, that makes you attractive.
Guruji, why do you teach yoga?
I have a mission here, you know. It's a long mission that my guru has given me. I don't want to speak about it in public, but that mission involves educating children in a better way than they're being educated right now. It involves that, okay, and I can't get into the reasons in public. That's a mission that he sent me here to do. So when I'm on this mission, I realize that I can't work with children alone. I have to also work with the parents, because otherwise the parents will become an obstacle for me to teach the children. So that's why I'm also teaching yoga to adults. And when I start my school, I'm very confident all the adults I've taught will bring their children to the school, because they've already understood the value of this in their life. Okay, that's my mission right now, uh, to win the trust, the confidence, and the dedication of a million adults. Because bringing up children I can't do it alone. I need a million educated adults to start working with the kids. Then we'll be able to help a lot of kids. Okay, so one of the divine promises I made to God is to be part of this mission of education. So that's why I teach yoga.
Ask you the next question.
Yes, go ahead.
Can a spiritual guru or a spiritual person have tattoos?
Yes.
That answers. Okay. Guruji, what is yoga?
Yoga. Siddha yoga we'll talk about, okay? But okay, we can talk about yoga as well. So yoga is the science of the mind. That's what it is. You have a lot of science about the body because you can cut the body and study it under microscope. But there's a lot of science about the mind that people don't even know where's the mind, where to cut the mind, what to study. So you have behavioral scientists, they study behavior. But yoga is not behavioral science. Yoga is mental science. So directly talks about the mind and teaches you how to contain the mind. The mind is a very fluid thing. If it doesn't have a structure holding it, then it flows in all various ways. The mind is made up of energy. Mind is Shakti. And Shakti, like water, needs a container. Otherwise, it results in entropy. Ask any scientist. They'll tell you that The second law of thermodynamics is that there is disorder in a system. The amount of entropy increases in a system. But there are certain systems where there is order preserved, like the earth going around the sun. And why is that? Why is that order preserved? And people are starting to realize that Newton was wrong about saying that the earth will slowly lose momentum and finally fall into the sun. That's not really how it works. It's working on different principles called curvature in space-time. Okay, so when you look at advanced physics, uh, it's starting to talk about energy and how energy is contained. That's what mind is. Mind is the thing that can contain energy. We haven't really come there, and we haven't made that leap yet in physics. But a lot of physicists are looking that way, and they're like, whoa. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle came up, and what that comes up from the fact that when we start measuring something, then it changes. When we start observing something, then its appearance changes. So led the scientists to ask the question, does the whole universe of energy exist only when we look at it? And when we're not looking, maybe it doesn't exist. How do we know? So that's what it is. And in yoga, we say that mind is what makes energy flow. Mind is called Shiva, consciousness, Shiva. It's a consciousness that contains the energy and makes her flow in a particular way, gives her the structure around which she may wrap herself. Okay? So mind is that structure around which energy wraps itself. So this very study of creating the kind of mind to have the energetic effects that you want, that's yoga. That's Siddha yoga. Okay. If you ask other people what's yoga, they'll say union of the soul with the grand soul, and something like it just makes no sense to me. Like absolute just horseshit that I have had to listen for years. If I open my Instagram, then again they'll be like yoga is union. It comes from the word yuj.
Guruji, I made the same mistakes as well. Thanks to you, all the gas is gone. Almost. Thanks to you, all your grace. I was full of gas as well. Anyway, Guruji, where does Siddha Yoga come from? Like the origin of Siddha Yoga, Guruji.
So it comes from Nandi Dev. Okay. Parvati was the guru of Nandi Dev, and when she taught him yoga, like being a bull, he was, how can I apply it? He's like that, you know. He doesn't have time for bullshit. he's not human. So Nandi is supposed to be a bull, right? So he's like, that's great, Mata, but tell me how to apply it. And she's like, okay, I'll only teach you how to apply it. And he's like, yes, I only am interested how to apply it. I'm not going to teach you all these big theories and stuff. And he's like, I don't want to learn all this stuff. And then she taught it to him. Then Nandi said, okay, this is cool. Who is the human being worthy enough for me to teach this to? And Agastya comes along and says, can you teach me? Because I also want to apply stuff. I didn't come over here to do nothing. So he taught it to Agastya. And then Agastya taught it to my guru much later. Okay, this is like millions of years later. Agastya met my guru. That's where I'm getting the lineage. But Agastya hasn't taught only my guru. He's taught a lot of people. And then my guru taught me. So it's a very short lineage, starting from Parvati to Nandi, to Agastya, to my guru, to me. Okay, and this is the Himalayan Siddha tradition, which comes from Mahatar Babaji. There is also the South Indian Himalayan tradition, because Agastya came to the south. After living for many millions of years in the north, then he came to the south. And when he came to the south, he started to teach the Tamil Siddha tradition. He taught the same things, but in Tamil. And I feel that in Tamil it became even more sweet, you know. The language is very short and cut, and you know how it is. So the teachings became even more sweet in the south. So I have a Siddha tradition also from the south. I have another immortal guru who taught my guru, who then taught me. So by the grace of Nandi Dev, I've been connected to the North Siddha tradition and the South Siddha tradition, so I can really celebrate the beauty of both.
Guruji, who is a siddha and who are mahasiddhas?
Okay. A siddha is the person who has siddhis. Siddhis are the ability to do something again and again. Your mind is so stable that the energy does the same thing. Every time you want it, it does the same thing because you have a very stable frame with everybody. And what's a frame? A frame is who are we, with whom are we, what are we doing with them, and what is the environment in which we are in. Basically, if you answer these 4 questions, you'll understand the frame. Okay? So, let's say 2 people are calling each other boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay? Who are you? You're a person who's now who cannot make any decision without asking the other person. That's who you are. And who are you with? Another person who's in the same boat, who can't make any decisions without asking me. And what are you doing together? Like being indecisive about everything. That's what we are doing together. The only thing we can agree about is what to eat, maybe. Okay? And where are you? You're in an environment with absolutely no support from anybody else because nobody else is invested in your relationship except they are worried about their reputation with your relationship. That's the environment in which you're in. So when you look at this relationship, you can ask yourself, is it worth it? Okay, so that's a frame. You can improve the frame in a way that it's more functional. But most people are going around life with a dysfunctional frame. I would consider anyone with completely functional frames in all relationships to be a siddha already. If they can bring this about, they've got siddhi, then they have stable mind everywhere. And with stable mind, they're able to create stable creations in their environment. So that's what it is. That's what a siddha is. A siddha is one who has completely made stable frames with all relationships in their life. Therefore, they're able to have a stable mind, and therefore they're able to create consistency. That is a siddha. Now, mahasiddha is the one who has the ashta mahasiddhis. So there are 8 mahasiddhis. Okay, and these are called anima, lagima, garima, and so many other things. They involve all the yogas I told you, like lagima siddhi is the ability to astral travel, to go anywhere, wherever you want. Anima siddhi is the ability to transform a material, like turn iron into gold or turn something into something else, to transform material. And alchemy, alchemy is anima. So like that, there are so many different disciplines, and when you reach when you study tantra, which siddha yogis do, they are masters of the 64 tantras. Each of the tantras gives them one siddhi. Each of the tantras are associated with 64 yoginis, and it gives them different siddhis, abilities to do different things. So one of my siddha gurus called Amritanandanath, he's one of the gurus from the south, one of the immortal gurus. He has the siddhi, like he would always ask me, "What do you want to eat, and from which restaurant?" And he'll put his hand in his pocket and pull out that food that I want to eat, along with the packing of the restaurant. So for him, he's mastered the elements, and he's also some thousands of years old. I don't know how old he is. So it's going to take time to get the mahasiddhis. It's not that easy. It's a lot of work. But the first mahasiddhi, the first siddhi that you have to have, a normal siddhi, is Ichha Mrityu. You should be able to choose when you're going to die. So your body will age or not age according to what you've set as the time of your death. It comes under death yoga. So that's one of the basic siddhis actually, which you can, if you have health intelligence, you can achieve that siddhi. You can choose when you want to die, and then your time intelligence will start arranging your time according to that, whatever you have chosen. So if you've chosen something like 5,000 years, then you'll be like Mahatar Babaji. who's already 2,700, and he says I'm middle-aged.
Uh, okay, Guruji. Is yoga important, and is Siddha yoga and astrology related?
Yes, yes. Is
Okay.
yoga important, you're asking? Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, what else is there to do?
Mhm.
If you don't have siddhis, you're going to live a very ordinary life at the mercy of everything. You can't be anything but a victim. If you don't have siddhis, you can't be anything but a victim in your life. Isn't it so crazy? Like, why would you want to live that life? Ah, ugly. Okay? So, a life without yoga is an ugly life. Yeah. Sorry if that offends anyone, I don't care. Because that's how I perceive it. And I think that in order to create beauty and aesthetic in your life, you must involve yourself in the study of Siddha Yoga. So yoga is very important. It's not important if you don't want to live a beautiful life. And what's the other thing you asked me?
Guruji, is Siddha yoga and astrology related?
Yes, yes, yes. So um, maybe not so much with the nakshatras, but we have a link with the grahas.
Okay.
So the nine grahas, navagrahas that we call them, we consider them as nine devas. Okay, two of them are asuras. Rahu and Ketu are asuras, and the rest of the grahas are devas. So they are spiritual beings. Uh, by winning their grace, we make our life easy over here. So we focus a lot on Navagraha Siddhi. Nakshatra Siddhi is also there. It's a very advanced subject. So we don't look at it like astrology does. Astrology is predictive science. It's trying to predict the future. But we are not predicting the future, we're making the future. We're not telling you that this is what is going to happen. We're saying this is what will make happen. So when you say something like that, you need the astrological stuff from Siddha Yoga.
Guruji, do you have an Siddha ashram somewhere?
Siddhas don't have ashrams. We have akhadas.
Okay, Guruji.
Akhadas are like warrior training schools, right? Yeah. So Siddha yogis are all martial artists, and they believe in non-violence. That means you have to have the ability to protect yourself. Huh? Without learning martial arts, you can be only half non-violent. What does that mean? Without learning martial arts, you can do the half of ahimsa, which is not hurting others. That you can do. Even without learning martial arts, you can do that. But if you want to do the other half of ahimsa, which is not allowing hurt to yourself, then you have to learn martial arts. And it's not kung fu, karate, MMA. These are like celestial martial arts, which come from the devas themselves. Different kind of devas have made different martial arts. So we learn that. Right? For example, I learned a martial art called Kalim. I also learned martial art of Hanuman. So the one called Kalim is the martial art of Kali, and Hanuman Gada is the martial art of Hanuman using a Gada. I'm teaching these two, and I know more martial arts, which I know something called Shiva Tandavam, and there is also uh, many other kalas I can't talk about, but some of them are like uh, Muruga's martial art from the south, Ganesha's martial art. Ganesha's martial art is the most violent, like the most powerful of all, because he could also defeat Shiva. Ganesha brought Shiva to his knees. So there is also Vishnu's martial art, Krishna's martial art. Krishna also was a very violent person. Like he cut off Shishupal's head also, just like that with his chakra. So Vishnu is capable of a lot of violence. Then there's Devi's martial art, Durga Ma's martial art. Yeah, and Uttar Pradesh they practice something called Durga Mukhi, which has some of the elements of this art, but not all of it. They've lost it. So the gurus all have been leaving. When the Gurus saw that sincerity is dropping in the world, then they just left. They went back to the mountains and they waited for a long time. Now they sent me back. The Gurus are coming back. I won't be the only Guru to come back. There have been many Gurus. Okay. So that is when martial arts will come back. Martial arts. How can you live without learning martial arts? I mean, how can you travel or even like commute without the knowledge of how to protect yourself? Otherwise, you'll only have fear. So many people, men and women, are going out in fear, even if they go out. Ask them to go to the forest, they can't even handle it. Ask them to swim a river, oh!
Even I don't know how to, Guruji, swim. I have to.
Most of the people don't have basic survival skills. Most of the people today can't even cook. And they don't know how to find food in the wild and cook it. They don't know. Basic stuff. Okay? So then your world becomes very restricted. You have to stay within civilized society only, which is a small percentage of the earth. Still, most of the earth is uncivilized because it's ocean. And you'll never meet the beings that live there. How will you meet the beings that live in the Himalayas? How will you meet the beings that live under the ocean? How will you meet the beings that live in the sky? You know, this is in Sanskrit called Kupa Manduka, well frog. The frog that lives in the well, you know. His cousin, the ocean frog, comes and calls him out. Come on, well frog, come out. Let's go and explore the world. It's so big. And then the well frog says, no, how can you say anything is better than my well? I'm offended. I won't come. I'm going to sit in my well. That's most people today. They're the well frog. Well frog of education. Education has hypnotized them about what is possible and what is not possible. Better to be uneducated like me. Then you'll have some incredible experiences in your life.
Sure, Guruji. You do make sense. The last thing I want to ask you, Guruji, how can we practice Siddha Yoga and what do you want to say to everyone watching this live?
I didn't get the first question. What?
How can we practice Siddha Yoga?
How can you practice Siddha Yoga? Okay, so like I said, Siddha Yoga starts with the three intelligences. The health intelligence, time intelligence, and communication intelligence. So I have made videos about this. I'll be releasing them all after Navratri. And I'm charging just 1 rupee because there is something called Dakshina. Dakshina means the right given, the moral right given to a guru to teach you. So only those who give me the moral right to teach them, I can teach them. Okay. So first you have to give me that. So that's why I charge 1 rupee. Okay. So you spend 3 rupees after Navratri and you can start your path on Siddha Yoga. Later, if you want me to help you, I'll help you. Don't worry. Okay.
Sure.
So, but these three basic intelligences you have to learn. That's how you get started on Siddha Yoga. And the message I have to everybody out there is that think beyond what you have been hypnotized to see. There is a world out there that you're completely missing. It's front of your eyes, but you don't see it because you've been hypnotized that it doesn't exist. And that is so crazy. Be curious and become students of your mind. Start understanding, become people who study the mind, right? Start studying your mind. And the more you understand your mind, the more happy you can be. And the more joy you can spread in the world. Otherwise, there's enough hopeless people spreading lack of hope in the world. But I'm telling you, life doesn't have to be so hard when you have yoga. So get serious about it. Get serious about life, you'll automatically get serious about yoga. Siddha Yoga. Most of the yoga is not talking anything about life. Only Siddha Yoga is. Okay.
Yes, sure.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon again.
Okay, see you. Thank you.